if I look back on my life, there's a time where I struggled knowing the difference. And the reason why I struggled knowing the difference is because one, no one told me the difference, right? And two, I think with a lot of people, especially those who come from immigrant parents, your parents are working so hard, they may not be able to show you the type of love that you wanted. Going back to that book, right? The Five Love Languages.
Mhm.
So because I didn't hear it, I grew up wanting to hear it. And because I didn't hear it, but the substitute was someone buying me gifts, Christmas, but it had empty value because I knew it didn't mean much. As I grew up, when I would receive gifts, it didn't mean much to me because it reminded me of my childhood, where it was a substitute for love, but it wasn't out of love. So as I grew up, I realized that my love has to at some point come within, meaning that I have to be the origins of my love. And then when I extend it outwards, then I can have people love me in the way that I want to love me. But if I didn't have that revelation, if I didn't do that work, I don't know if I would have been able to ever achieve it because I think to care for yourself ultimately would lead to self love. But then when you're working with the women, when you're understanding the women who are maybe struggling with this, why do you then think that they spend so much time giving out the type of love they've always wanted to receive, but they don't ever stop to give themselves that same type of love?
That's what we call a return on investment. We think if we give it out, if we show up enough, people are going to do the same thing. For us, your love languages um is what you've been taught, is learned behaviors and what how you felt it when you received it. I don't think that I think people give you what they know how to give. And some people know how to give care because they believe that is love. They do. People don't give love, and understanding what love is to you is the key. And this is what I teach my clients, how to love on themselves and not outsource it, giving away to receive it back. You showing up and you giving your love away or what you believe is love, meaning that you washing clothes, say you in a relationship with and you the one cooking, cleaning, showing up, that's care. You're caring for a person. And that's how you show love. But is that what that person needs? And that's why it's so important to understand yourself, not just women, but men in general too. What do you need for self-love? Because then you can ask for it, or you know what you want, or what you're willing to accept and what you aren't willing to accept. And those are things that weren't taught because traditionally passed on, like you said, parents worked every day. Both my parents worked every day. They came home, they wanted to make sure that, we had food, clothes, went to the best schools that they could afford to send us to. They did all of those things. So that's what I thought love was, someone caring for me and taking care of those needs when I'm capable and able of doing that for myself. So I needed to know what love was. We don't know what love is because we never been taught, but taking the time to ask yourself, what do I give to other people? Why am I giving these things? Why am I showing up? For me, love is safety and figuring out what you need and then naming it and defining it for yourself allows you to give it to yourself first. That's what self allyship is. That's what self love is and care. So you have to be able to define it for yourself. And that takes time daily going in, asking yourself the questions when you're giving someone something. Why am I doing this? Especially when you're unhappy doing it, especially when you don't know if you should do it, especially if it's not being reciprocated at all. And I know people say you shouldn't expect anything back, but if you're giving it and expecting something back, then we both know you need to ask yourself why and figure out what you need to stop giving it away in hopes of getting it back.
What are then some of the obstacles that prevents people from defining it and understanding that they can receive it back then?
Oh, the norms, your traditions. This is what you saw. This is what you know. That's the biggest one. We don't know how to separate that. And if we never do the work on ourselves to understand that it doesn't have to be the way it's always been, that we can control what we allow in our lives. That's the first thing. And then it's easy. It's easy to get caught up in what you know. But what if we do the right thing that's hard, that's uncomfortable? People don't want to be uncomfortable. Who want to be uncomfortable? You want to be uncomfortable? You get in the seat and you switching and you're moving and you're doing all the things? No, absolutely not. But having the willingness to get uncomfortable, to figure out what it is and how to, and figuring out what value you bring. A lot of times we don't even think that we have any value. So how are we stepping into it? How are we figuring out we don't think we have anything to offer but to give of ourselves, give our thoughts, our minds, our bodies, our souls to someone else in hopes of receiving it? But you think about it, if you learn when you learn to value yourself, you think differently, you show up differently, you walk differently. Um, I've been mentoring young girls in school. So they told me, Miss Harris, when you standing 10 toes down in it, I'll be like, yes. When you stand 10 toes down in it, when you showing up knowing that you're rooted in knowing your value and what you bring and understanding that for yourself and not looking for it outside of you.